All right, welcome back. This is episode 3. We're going to talk about how to thrust, how to use your arms in this lunge, and how not to. So, first thing I'll say is don't jab. So, if you've watched the other 2 videos, you'll note, as I said, the arm comes out first, you hinge at the hips, and then you release the leg. So, the benefit of the arm coming out first is there's several of them. One is you're threatening your opponent. You're making your opponent now worry about your sword tip. Second one is your sword, if you're using blade work correctly, is now your shield, both in the attack and when you're recovering, your sword is out in front of you. You can cover your opponent's blade, attack, come back, and still reduce any amount of afterblow, or if you've missed them, you can keep it from hitting you. When you jab, even if it's a microsecond, your body tends to go first because you're loading that arm to then punch through. This has a couple of drawbacks. One of them is, again, your body is going first, so you're less protected out here from your opponent's thrust. Another one is you've got to tell. Some part of your body moves before that thrust is coming. Again, even if it's a microsecond, when you're fighting the top fighters in your kingdom, that microsecond counts. When I'm extending the sword first, I find that I have much finer point control than when I'm jabbing. I can choose my target a lot easier when I'm extending the sword first than when I'm throwing my arm into it. My point control when I'm jabbing may be this. My point control when I'm extending the sword first may be this. So you can practice with that and see what you think. So extending the sword first allows you more control over your targeting. You can rearrange the target in between the attack or the threat and then the actual attack when you bend the knee. You can aim at one point and then as you're rolling your knee, cover to a different point. The other thing you can do, this allows you to not utterly destroy your friends. If I've got my sword already extended, I've got my relaxed arm, as I close in on my opponent, if they close in on me as well, I can absorb that blow in my elbow and not have to worry about driving it into them, really breaking a rib, hurting your opponent. So you've got more control over your arm to readjust, to think about how you want to play your thrust. And with the jab, you don't often have that because you've already thrown it. You have one vector that you've thrown on. Extending the sword first is also a tactical catalyst, but that's probably for a future video. So the second thing I want to talk about is don't lock your arm, don't lock your elbow. Something you can play with is get into your close lunge range, lunge into your target where you can flatten your hand against it, and then lift that front leg. If you've locked your elbow and you've locked your shoulder, a lot of times it'll be uncomfortable. It's driving into you, or even sometimes you'll feel yourself rolling forward. What I want is for this to be relaxed but strong. You're supporting with these muscles and with your entire shoulder rotation muscles. You should feel like you're pushing that post from that back foot, but it's not actually making your shoulder tense up, it's not driving back into your body. So keep this elbow somewhat bent, and the muscles are supporting it, not the bones in your body. And you keep this still at the 45-degree angle ish. You don't want to be rolling your shoulder forward. So practice this a bit, you want to still be in control. When I've done my lunge and I've completed it, I want to still be able to have some force, some ability to play with my opponent, rearrange my shots. Even sometimes when I'm testing with my students, we will go into a bit of a wrestling match at the end of our lunges to make sure we still have that power and that balance. So how does this magic work? Well, you've extended the arm, you've threatened your opponent, you've gotten closer by hinging at the hips or bending at the waist. What is carrying the thrust into your opponent is the body weight and the strength in that back leg pushing it forward. You don't have to use your arm muscles to blow through someone's guard, and in fact, it's very easy once you start trying to do that for that person to avoid your shot, because they see the tell, they feel it coming, they can avoid that. What I want, threaten my opponent using my body weight to drive the shot forward. I can also then rearrange from 4 to 2, from 2 to 4. I can force them to make a decision, and while I'm moving forward, adjust to that decision that they've made. So this back leg, this body weight, is what is moving that point into your opponent. And if you're using blade mechanics correctly, if I've captured my opponent's blade off here, even if they're twice my strength, if I've got them correctly near the forte of my own blade, they can't stop me from driving them off and from making the hit. All right, so the drills for video 3. Continue practicing your lunge, continue building it into your body, but now find a post, find a tree, find a tire, put some kind of quick targeting on it, use paint or duct tape. We all have duct tape. I want you to continue drilling your lunge, putting your sword in your hand now, and think about what we just talked about on how to thrust, how to make sure that your body is doing it correctly. You shouldn't have to really be aiming too hard at these targets. If your body is working correctly, you're extending correctly, you should be able to pretty quickly and easily find those targets. So extend, bend that knee. Extend, bend your waist, bend the knee. When you start getting it to where you feel that you can home in on a simple strip of tape, for instance, then start rearranging your target. Extend in second, hinge at the hips, and as you bend your knee, switch to fourth. Extend in fourth, hinge at the hips, and as you're moving in, go for a headshot. So you can practice as you're perfecting your lunge, also trying to tighten up how your hand works. I'm going to release another video pretty soon, call it episode 3.5, and it's going to show a few shoulder exercises to try and build up the strength in the shoulder. I know some people have a hard time holding the sword up for a long time. We're going to try and work on that, getting the strength here, getting the strength down here. For those of you who don't have a problem, probably don't need to watch it. I'm going to add probably 5 or 6 different exercises that I've been shown on how to make sure that I can stand with a 2.5-pound sword extended for long periods of time. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps.